this year's conference, DIGGIT in Ljubljana, you were giving a lecture titled Digital Intelligence. What is digital intelligence?
So when we talk about digital intelligence at SAS, we think of it about the collection of data, but also making that data actionable and usable by the organisation and the brand. So that will be not just collecting it, but understanding it, gaining insight from it, and then making it, say, actionable or deploying that. So how do you go from collecting the data to making a decision on it to targeting an experience back to the user?
So we are basically talking about how to upgrade data to useful information.
Yeah, we're taking data and data points and customer interactions and changing the customer's journey based on those decision points that we see. So customer journey becomes a series of decision points, and at each point analytics is driving that decision.
Are there any effective ways of how to measure effectiveness of using digital intelligence?
Absolutely, there's more and more ways of collecting information about customers, more and more. Very much nowadays we're getting streaming data, real-time data, and the good thing is these days you can handle all that data, you can analyze it on the fly, and you can actually communicate back to the customer in real time. There's been a big shift in the last few years in respect to that, but yeah, what that does as well, it makes the communications very effective. It's not just using analytics for the sake of analytics, it's using analytics to make sure that you can build rapport with customers. And that's extremely important in a competitive market, competitive world these days. Getting those good customer interactions is key.
How to find the proper balance between getting the right data that can be really useful for both somebody offering services or products and the customer, and on the other side, not revealing too much of yourself?
Yes, true. There is a balancing point there. It used to be that you'd have too much data and you were overwhelmed with data, but now it's easier to reach that balancing point. We've got a lot of capabilities these days. You've got to think of yourself. You don't want to just try and get the most money from customers. You've got to think of a long-term customer view, so you've got to treat customers right, not just sell things to them. And if you treat customers right, it's beneficial for you in the future, in the long run.
You have customers from many different fields of industry. So do you think that conscience of those customers has already risen to the level that they really do have to think about long-term relationships instead of just going for short-term profits?
I think you get different industries have different customer life cycles and different points within that journey. Obviously a retailer will see their customers on a daily, weekly basis, and they will have a different view of looking at the average spend of a basket. Maybe an insurance company would take a different view, that they may only get one opportunity per year and they will try and put their upsell in that first opportunity. So depending on the industry, they will have a different view of how much they should upsell versus a longer term nurturing of that customer.
But generally speaking, are companies aware that long-term relationships are really crucially important?
Yeah, I think they are. I think all big retailers and banks are very aware of the cost of acquiring that customer, but also the value that can be brought out of that customer if they will treat that customer with respect and just incrementally add additional products to that customer's journey.
I mean, you look at banks, you could say that a few years ago banks could have been lazy, people didn't move around, but there's big disruption in the banking industry now. To survive, to thrive, you've got to make sure that you're treating customers right. Otherwise, the customer has a lot of power these days, a lot more power than they used to do. If they're not happy, they'll move. They'll move to one of your competitors.
Well, the biggest power we customers have is actually the power of selecting. Absolutely. But the thing is that sometimes we, the customers, have a feeling that different entities put much more effort into gaining new customers than keeping the ones that they already have. So churn is something we are really facing very often, and sometimes we customers feel cheated by companies. So why don't companies work more on retaining what they already have?
I think that sometimes comes down to departmental issues within a company, and you will have a marketing department tasked with generating new leads and bringing new customers in, and their focus is very much on that, and they'll offer promotions around that. But that's not necessarily tied in with customer loyalty and customer support that are vital in making sure that existing customers feel value and stay for the duration. So I think you're right, there is often a disconnect, and marketing should bring in existing customers just as much as it does focus on new ones.
Do you observe any country-specific patterns in behavior of either customers or companies?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some markets out there where companies are starting to interact in real time with their customers. Very much personalization is being done really well in some of the more advanced markets. But even if you don't have those kind of capabilities, I think it still makes sense going forwards to be doing the right thing to the customer, even at a simpler level. Analytics can do that as well. Analytics doesn't have to be real time. Just try and understand, do a bit of modeling, try and understand the customer a bit better, so that when you do communicate with them, you communicate with them in an effective way.
Would you dare to single out any particular country, or maybe more than one country, to be more digitally intelligent than the others?
I guess the European countries are pretty advanced these days. We've come to Slovenia today. We're seeing a telecommunications company, and they're coming to us with some very interesting questions, and hopefully we'll be able to help them do some good customer intelligence with them.
So we are on the right path.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.